What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another one of my videos. Forgot to record the intro for this video, so this is after the fact. A little sneak peek. But in this video, I am kind of transforming my garage in a good way. I'd say pretty good way. I had really bad organization. My workbench was filing cabinets with plywood on top of it. It was all jank. So in this video, I'm building a nice workbench slash storage shelving. So yeah, I hope you enjoy, and let's get to it. All right, so don't mind the mess of a garage. That's why I'm building these shelves. I want this whole wall to be a shelving system with one of the shelves being a workbench, so I can eliminate this monstrosity I have of organization. So yeah, let's get to it. Okay, don't mind the shitty handwriting, but this is what I'm about to cut. I need 8 2x4s at 6 feet, 4 2x4s at 7 feet, and then 8 2x4s at 2 feet. So I'm gonna throw you on time lapse while I get those cut. All right, I got all the wood cut. Now, I'm gonna make myself some room, organize all this junk to one side of the garage, so then we can get to building it. So I'll put you on time lapse while I get to cleaning. Alright, so we got enough work area cleaned out. These are all 6 feet boards. Same with these two. These are 7 feet. And then these were a little over 2 feet. I was going to cut them to 2 feet, but I think there's literally like that much left. So I'm fine with it being that much deeper. It really won't change anything. This is how I'm going to do it. You got the 6 feet boards. Those smaller boards running like this, and then you'll use the 7 foot boards. One there, one there, one there, one there, going up, and then you'll do, shelf, 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 just like that. And then got these pallets. Instead of using plywood, I'm just gonna get pallets and use these boards, take them off, put them, don't have no gap, put them closer to make the tops of the shelves, because that's free, plywood isn't. And then for the shelf that I'm gonna do the workbench on, I'm actually gonna repurpose these shelves right here and cut them to, the right length, and then use these as the workbench shelves, because these are thick pieces of wood. So, yeah, I'm gonna put it on time lapse and knock out these little sections, and then yeah, we'll go on from there. I got both these shelves done, both of those shelves done. Now I just need to figure out what heights I want the shelves at, and then I can put the sides on and then make it an actual shelf. And then I can start taking these apart to get the crossboards for them. But I need to figure out what heights I need. I want the very bottom to be able to have these slide under those bins, and then the shelf above it, I want to be able to have those exact bins. And then the third shelf will be, you know, my workbench, and then so on and so forth. So I'm gonna do some measurements with this bin and figure out how tall these need to be. Okay, so I got the first shelf in. It's 16 inches off the ground, just enough for these bins to slide in and out. This next shelf will be 16 inches above this one, and then there'll be the workbench, and then I'll probably go more than 16 inches for the workbench shelf because I want room to work around. Obviously, I'll have the last shelf at the very top, and then maybe put the other shelf like here. It'll just be a small shelf for smaller bins. But yeah, this is how it's coming so far. So I'm gonna somehow move this around so I can put the top shelf on just for bracing, and then I'll work on getting the other shelves in. All right, and just like that, we got the bottom, then we got the top on. So now I just need to measure 16 inches, do the next shelf, and then figure out how tall I want my workbench, and then do that shelf. So I'm gonna measure out 16 inches here, and then get the other shelf on. But so far, this thing's coming out pretty good. So yeah, let's get to it. All right, and this is how it turned out. That bottom is 12 inches. This one's 13. I was gonna do 12, but once I put the top on, it'll be 12. And then this one, I don't know what it is, but that's gonna be the workbench. And then I got a tiny shelf up there that is about 10 inches tall. So now I'm gonna pull this thing outside, and my girlfriend is gonna paint it black while I disassemble these pallets and get all the flat boards off of them. And then I'm also going to use the 2x4s for cross bracing on the shelves. So yeah, let's get to it. I did a short time lapse of getting all these boards off the pallets and the 2x4s, and my girlfriend slowly painting this. But I'm not going to bore you guys, so I'm just going to get this thing fully painted, get all these nails out of these boards, and then I'll get back to you when I'm getting ready to trim those to fit, and then trimming the 2x4s from the pallets for the cross beams to add more support. So let me get this and this done, and I'll get back to you guys. All right, it's the next morning. I got this thing painted black. I didn't do right here because that's where the boards are gonna be, so I figured why even paint that part. But got it all painted inside, outside. Got all the nails out of the 2x4s, all the nails out of the slats. So now I just gotta cut those up to fit. And then once all the cross boards and the slats and all the supports, everything's in, I'm gonna do more painting. I only have one more paint roller. The other one dried up, so I gotta do one more coat on the stand when I paint all the slats and things. So yeah. And I realized all the slat boards I got from that pallet, it only does one shelf. I don't really want to go get more pallets, so I'm just gonna look around my house and see what I have, like that piece of plywood. I know I have more plywood somewhere to do that shelf and that shelf, because I'm gonna do that one in the slats. That one will be those black shelves, so I need to figure out something for these two shelves. I am gonna get rid of this shelf, so I might even use the boards from this, because I mean it'll do the job. But yeah, I'm gonna get all this cleaned up and moved, and then I'll get to cutting up. Okay, so I got the support beams cut. Those are good to go. All the cross boards for one of the shelves are cut. For the workbench shelf, like I said, I was going to use the shelves that were right here, which are these ones. But these it's not going to have enough of them to cover the entire shelf. So I'm going to use these for this shelf right here, and then I'm gonna cut up this this bookshelf because it's the same wood as this, and use it for that shelf. And then this shelf I'm gonna go get a piece of plywood for, some thicker plywood, because it is gonna be a workbench, so I might as well make the workbench as heavy duty as possible. And that's the piece I'm gonna get. It's only $11 and they'll cut it for me, which will be perfect. So I just gotta put all these crossbars in, and then we'll figure out what to do from there. All right, well, I completely forgot to record the time lapse. Forgot to press play, but I got all the cross beams in. The workbench, I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other shelves I did 2, 2, and 2. And now I'm working on getting the bottom boards all screwed in. And then I'll cut out boards for up here and up there. And then I'll go to Home Depot and get the sheet for right here. All right, I got the bottom boards in. I got the shelf slid into place. I still gotta cut one board for right here because it was smaller than the regular size board, so I'll get that done. But so far, this thing's looking pretty sweet. It clears perfectly on both sides. So now I gotta just do the rest of the shelves and then start filling it with some junk. But I'm so stoked to have a nice workbench instead of this crappy small workbench I makeshifted over there. This is gonna be a game changer. So I'm gonna start getting all the boards ready for this, we'll continue. All right, well, I'm back from Home Depot. Plywood was such a good deal, I ended up just getting enough to do the last 3 shelves. So it'll look a little weird because the bottom's going to be pallet. I was trying to do it the cheaper route and get them for free, but I can't really fit the bigger pallets in my car. So I'm kind of just stuck to all the little tiny ones, and there's no more tiny ones near me. So we're pretty much scrapping the pallet idea. I'll replace this someday. For now, I'm just leaving it. I don't care. It's going to be covered with bins anyways. But went to Home Depot, got 2 full sheets, had them cut them down for me. Those are exactly 6 feet long and 3 feet wide. So I'm going to have to cut them a little bit so they fit. They'll overhang. But that was as small as they could cut it. They can only do it in feet. I need 2.5, not 3. But so I'll put those on, get those cut, and then I have those sheets are enough to do this shelf and this shelf. And then I'm hoping with these leftover cut pieces, I can do the top as well. So I'm gonna eat my lunch because I'm starving, and then we'll get to installing the rest of these shelves. So I got all the plywood on. I just gotta get it screwed down and then paint it. Definitely looks a little weird having pallet at the bottom, but I do not have enough plywood to do the bottom. I will at some point, but yeah. So let's get to screwing and then painting. All right, got the whole thing painted up. There's a couple spots on the bottom that didn't get in the cracks and stuff, but I ran out of paint and I want to replace that with plywood at some point anyway. So this is the finished product. All the paint's still drying, obviously, but I think it came out pretty sick. So now I just gotta let this dry and then clean up my garage and show you it all full and in the workbench. All right, I completed everything. And this is how it turned out. If you remember my garage before, it was super unorganized, super disgusting. But this shelf is a game changer. It made this garage look 100 times better. Now I have an actual workbench station I can watch TV at. I have the main stereo for the TV. I got the speakers mounted up in the shelving, so they're out of the way. I got my tools and stuff over here. Moved my toolbox from here to over here. And then I got, my cabinet for chemicals and stuff, and then shelving on top of it with a whole bunch of car stuff. Nice little charging station over here with drawers full of stuff. I say this came out pretty damn good. Over there is where the workbench used to be when it was just these little things with wood on top of it. Now it's a nice little selling station because I resell stuff online. Hopefully this TV stand will be gone tomorrow. Who knows, Marketplace is kind of annoying to use, but But yeah, this is how it turned out. It was under $100 to build this entire thing. The 2x4s, I got 12 of them. It was 45 bucks. And then 2 sheets of plywood was 25 bucks. So if you're looking for something to spruce up your garage, you should build something like this. But I appreciate you guys watching. If you would like, hit the subscribe button, hit a like on the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.